Okay, we review properties of two-variable linear equations. Slope formula is one that comes up. You want to talk about slope? We have 4 different kinds of slope. We talk about positive slope, negative slope, a zero slope, and undefined slope. Okay, there's a little kind of graphic organizer that helps you kind of sort the 4 different types of slope that we have. And we use a slope formula if you're given 2 coordinates. And that slope formula is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And that's equal to m for your slope. Now, if we simply just multiply both sides by the denominator, we would get y sub 2. I'm sorry, I'm going to leave off the subscripts right now. So right, y minus y is equal to m times x minus x. And so what we do is we just say we're talking about 1 point, and then we get that point slope form. So if you're ever wondering how they get from the slope formula to the point slope formula, just multiply the denominator by the denominator, and there you have it. Slope intercept form is y equals what? Mx plus b. And in that, we know that m is the slope. And what is b? The y-intercept. How come it ends up that b is the y-intercept? So why is it that you can just look at that and say, oh, well, that's where it crosses the y-axis? Why? Because the y-intercept happens when x is 0. So if you were to plug in 0, what happens to this? Cancels, and you just get b. I mean, that's why that's the y-intercept. All right. Did you say Socrates? Wow. All right. Oh my gosh. Oh. All right. Let's go with horizontal lines. If you were to graph a horizontal line, what is the slope of a horizontal line? Slope is equal to 0. And do you know if a horizontal line has an equation of x equals or y equals? It is y. And then if you have a vertical line, okay, anybody know what the slope is there? Undefined. And it is an x equals equation. Okay? So that's important to keep in mind. That's how I remember it as well. Crosses the y-axis, so it's y equals. Very good. Okay, parallel. If 2 lines are parallel, what's true about their slope? Same slope. And if 2 lines are perpendicular, what's true about their slope? Slopes are opposite reciprocals, which is interesting. The way that some books define it is if you take 2/3, what's the opposite reciprocal of 2/3? And if you were to multiply those, you would get. So anytime you multiply the slopes of 2 perpendicular lines, they would come out to be -1 all the time. Okay. So let's now do some example problems. You should be able to find slope between 2 lines or two points. And you're going to take y sub 2 minus y sub 1 divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I get 8 over -2, which is -4. You try the next 3. Okay, so we have an undefined slope, we have zero slope, and we have negative 2/3. Any questions on those? If you divide by 0, it's undefined. It's now your time to notice something important about the relationships between these things, okay? This is going to be very important that you see this. If this is undefined slope, what kind of line is it? Vertical line. So it has an equation of x equals. X equals what? Negative 3. Why negative 3? That's the x value that goes through all the time. This is y equals negative 2. It goes through negative 2 all the time. Would you agree that a horizontal line and a vertical line are perpendicular? So look at these, okay? You have undefined and you have 0. Undefined and 0 are really opposite reciprocals. If you took 0 divided by 5, that's 0, correct? But if you did the opposite reciprocal, then you get an undefined value. So if you're ever wondering what's the opposite reciprocal of 0, well, it's undefined, or the opposite reciprocal of undefined is 0. Now let's go to writing equations for lines, okay? We're not going to do all these. We're just going to select a few because you guys know how to do it. Every time it says find an equation for a line, we get slope and we get a point on a line. And by the way, this is a good time for me to say that. Don't do that. Okay. I think I made myself clear. All right. So every time you see find an equation for a line, slope is negative 3, point on the line is 3, 4. Okay. And then we go straight to our slope formula. Or I'm sorry, our point slope form, which is y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. From there, we can put it in slope-intercept form. Y equals negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. Plus 4 is 13. Yes, so if you would like to say y equals negative 3x plus b, and say I have a y value of 4, and I have an x value of 3, and I'm going to solve for b, I took negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and then I took negative 3 times negative 3 is, and added 4. I did it in one step instead of two. Okay? So, we won't do the letter B, but we'll go to letter C. What's different about letter C this time is that we have passes through these 2 points. We have slope, and we have a point on our line. What is the point on our line that you want to use? You get to choose. 2, negative 1. That would be my choice as well. If you would like to find the slope, that's not given to us. So what are you going to do? Yeah, negative 7 minus negative 1 over 4 minus 2. And what do we get? Negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. Now I'm going to go straight to my point slope form. Y plus 1 is equal to negative 3 times x minus 2. I'll write out both steps this time. Subtract the 1. Now, to Charlie's point, when I was in high school, I never used point slope form once. I did not use it. I did not like it. And since I was given a choice, I only used y equals mx plus b. However, the number of times that I've had students do this, y is negative 1 equals negative 3 times 2 plus b, and they leave their answer like that, that's why I don't show it anymore, because so many students, they don't go through and solve for b and plug it back in, and so I just use the point slope form when I teach. All right, here we go. Letter E passes through 6, 1. Again, I always start with slope and point on your line. Every time you're told to write an equation for a line, always start there. It says it's parallel to y equals 3x minus 4. Well, same slope. So what's the slope of that one? The slope is 3. Well, now this becomes a very simple problem. Y is equal to, y minus 1 is equal to 3 times x minus 6. y minus 1 is equal to 3x minus 18. Y is equal to 3x minus 17. We'll skip F and go to G. Every time. Slope, point on line. Perpendicular to 4x equals 2y plus 1. Oh, no. No. I just want to make sure you get the answer. But if you don't get it right, then I got to look where I can give you partial credit. What do? Solve for what? Solve for y. So I'll do, let's see, 4x minus 1 is equal to 2y. Divide by 2, like that. So what's the slope of that line? Slope of that one's 2, so the slope of the perpendicular line will be negative 1/2. Well, now I'm good. I've got y plus 8 is equal to negative 1/2 times x minus 4. Y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Whoop, sorry. Y plus 8 is equal to negative 1/2 x plus 2. Subtract my 8. Y is negative 1/2 x minus 6. This is a review, right? We've seen this 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. Okay? All right, last two problems. They look complicated. These are the easiest of all the problems. Rate equation for a line that passes through pi root of 2 and is parallel to y equals 4,123. Tell me something intelligent. It's a horizontal line. So what's going to be the equation of the line parallel to it? It will also be a, so y equals, great, what's the y value? Done, boom. So if you would think about the graph, the y equals 4,123 goes, something like that, right? And so then we got pi root of 2, so over pi and up the root of 2. So the line that's going to be parallel to is going to run through that y value, which would be the root of 2. So this one passes through 6 to the pi power, cubed root of 19. It's parallel to x equals negative 5 over 129. So it has an undefined slope, and if it's parallel, it'll also have an undefined slope, so it's x equals 6 to the pi power. Good. So, yeah, it's just some number, right? So what if it said this, and instead of parallel, what if it said perpendicular? How would your answer change? That would be a y equals, because it would be horizontal, just cube root of 19, right? So that's the y value that passes through. Piece of cake upside down. Okay, so if you look online at your assignment, it's not right. And the reason why is I took off some problems. So last year the assignment was 5 through 33 and not 10. What I did is I reduced some of those problems. So it looks longer, but it's actually shorter. So I took off like 6 and 7. And I took off 15 and 16 and 25 and 26, okay? I took off about 6, 7 problems to try to shorten it up a little bit. Some of these go really fast, you guys. It's like find the slope between these 2 points, all right? I think a lot of you could get the assignment done in about 10 to 15 minutes. Doesn't have to take very long. You do not have any assignment tomorrow.